official. Today, this story is about too many ghosts. He would paid more attention to the knife and the face he would brought forth from the wood than to his left hand trembling as it gripped the cottonwood branch. The blade went into the side of his thumb smoothly, and if it had been wood, he would have immediately realized he would chosen his materials poorly, because wood that soft wouldn't hold the intricate detail he required. Hector watched as his blood filled the valleys of the bark, reddening the hollows of his unfinished face, an exaggerated expression of anger that dripped onto the porch's worn boards. He laid the knife and the branch down carefully on a small table of tools and materials. Then he said, "Damn it," once and evenly, and attempted to close the wound with his other hand. He wondered again if he might be too old or at least too infirm to carve any more. But carving was all he would ever wanted to do. It might be all he could do. He hadn't the stamina to farm anymore, or the heart to sit in an office staring at a screen. If he still had a wife, he might feel differently. There might be other things he could do in the world, but he no longer had a wife, so this was how he filled his time. "Here, Dad." Lucina dangled a roll of gauze and tape in front of him. She always kept some handy. "Can I help you?" He grabbed the gauze, wrapping his thumb with swift turns of his other hand. "I'll manage, thanks." She went back into the kitchen and then called, "Are you sure you can handle the trick or treaters tonight? You could still come with us. We could put the candy bucket out with a sign telling the children to take no more than 2. Please tell me you are joking." He tied the ends of the gauze with a flutter of his fingers. His wife Nikana had called the maneuver his butterfly. She had loved his butterfly. The candy wouldn't last 5 minutes. Parents would be coming by tomorrow to complain about their children's belly aches. His daughter always tried to lure him back into the church, but Hector would not be lured. "Well, at least help the boys carve their pumpkin. They love seeing the things you come up with." He picked up the branch again, stared at it. The old man in cottonwood stared back. Hector thought he recognized the face from when he was a boy. The eyes in the wood shifted, avoiding capture. Hector couldn't be sure. I don't carve vegetables, Lydia. A pumpkin is a fruit, Papa. I don't carve those either." He heard her move back into the dining room. She fussed at the boys. Apparently they were still staring at the pumpkin, and had not even lifted their punny blades with the colorful plastic handles. Very safe, but impossible to use with any skill. She did not understand. She could not carve the face until you first saw the face in your material. The boys had watched him do this hundreds of times, and now they were copying him, although they didn't have this knowledge, and they were getting into trouble for it. They would be late for the church Halloween party, she told them. His daughter took the boys to church every Halloween for the safe candy. Hector knew of no child who had ever been poisoned or who had bitten into a razor blade or pin, but his daughter always imagined the worst. Now she was angry the boys would not get their Halloween. One of them began to cry. Hector didn't know which one, they both sounded the same to him. This was not his responsibility. He picked up the branch again. He looked for the old one eyes, but he still couldn't find them. Perhaps the old man was sleeping or hiding. Hector put his knife point where the left ear should be, but he didn't know how to carve it until he could see the eyes, a sharp pain in the web of his right hand. He turned the branch over quickly and thought he saw tiny teeth receding into the carved mouth. There was a bite mark in his skin, or was it a splinter? He pushed his thumb into the mouth, but the lips did not move. He sighed and continued to ponder what he had made. The face in the wood looked disturbingly familiar, the invisible eyes and the way the hair flowed with the grain, but he could not connect the visage with the name. He would decide later if he would take his carving to the craft show the next day or stick it with the others in the field. Both his mistakes and his friend's works were out in the field. The distant explosion was too far away to cause any vibration, but he dropped the branch away anyway. A piece of beard snapped off a corner of one ear. This one was for the field then. Hector was okay with it. This one's destination seemed inevitable. Lucina appeared in the doorway again. I thought they weren't working today. They work every day, Hector replied. It's a big mountain, they have lots to blow up. These are holy days, they have no respect of the dead. Perhaps the dead want the mountains gone as well. Once they open the road, the dead may find some more interesting place to go. Papa, that's blasphemous. I don't intend to be. I know nothing of what the dead want. I can only make guesses. She left again. He heard her fussing at his grandsons again. How she would cancel Halloween completely if they didn't get a move on. They lived at the high end of the valley before the gap, but the gap had been closed since Hector was little. The road there buried under landslide after landslide, nothing could get through, and so people rarely come this way anymore, except the occasional salesman and the children for their annual Halloween treats. Once the mountain was removed from the road, life would change. Hector was sure, but he could not imagine the details. He climbed slowly to his feet. Where is this pumpkin you want carved? Hector stood in the doorway, his knife ready. Of course, he could see the pumpkin. It sat in the middle of the dining table, lolling as if asleep. His twin grandsons stared up at him in amazement. Hector stepped forward, reached in and slipped his palm under the pumpkin. Drawing it up and cradling it in the crook of his arm. As a face began to appear to him, he began his cuts, highlighting and recessing the plans, and imagined bone and muscle those wisps of hair. The stretch of the lips, the loafer gown is set for some intangible amusement trapped in the corner.